what's involved in trying to find money and try to keep this thing going, where you let the talent create and film, and it's like, I don't want you guys to worry about it, we'll handle it.
Yeah.
This is what should
It's
people think
crazy.
about? Yeah.
It's crazy because I learned so much about what it takes to make a movie. I've never EP'd a film before, but I'm a damn good salesperson, and I will find that money. Like, I'm not even, we were never worried about me finding the money. I got a little worried about the distribution, but basically what it entailed was, I spent a lot of years at Rock Nation, and I represented a lot of artists and athletes there. And I developed these relationships. The first person I reached out to was my friend Allison at Puma. And I knew that Puma I had done so much social justice reform work with them when I was at Rock Nation around the hashtag reform platform and Meek Mill. And I really loved working with them. But what I knew in my head was that this was not, I worked at Sports Illustrated. This was not the Sports Illustrated easy sell where everybody's just going to give you money. This was a sell that we had to find brands that wanted to stand for something, and not only wanted to stand for something, but would be willing to fund it without a guarantee of a lot in return. And that was a really hard question to ask. So I had to be strategic of the brands that I went to. And Puma was my first call because they stand up for what they believe in. They stand up for who they believe in. And on top of that, they had Stewie, and we needed Stewie, and we wanted Stewie. And so for us to go to a brand and say, we're going to include your athlete in this, and we want organic branding, we want to film her designing her shoes, and it made so much sense. And that, I think, the thoughtfulness of how I approached that is really what won. Everybody that came in to fund this movie, it was the thoughtfulness in which I approached it, and how I laid the story out, and then how Dre executed it.
Well, I think one thing I observed, and because I'm very much not a salesperson, but we were in a lot of these pitches together. We made a lot of different iterations of the same deck for various brands. And, Jess would set it up, and then I would take them through the story structure, and then I'd pass it back to Jess, who'd pass it to Terry. And we had this like really beautiful rhythm where we were just being people. Like we were just being humans who were talking to other humans.
Yeah.
And I think if you're looking at it to maybe directly answer your question, if you're looking at it like, well, I want to make this really cool film and I need this brand to give me money, like it's not the right way to go about it. And I learned that from Jess. It's like, it's just humans talking to humans. This film is stories about humans. And I know that sounds cliche, painfully cliche. But on all of those calls, we got emotional reactions from people. We had deep conversations. We learned things about their families because whatever, I would say about the story structure, the stories we wanted to tell, they'd be like, they would elicit in these emotional responses. And then, if those people went back to the higher ups at their companies and couldn't get the money, like that's understandable. It's going to happen. But we just spoke to people like they were people.
Yeah. And I think, we had put a budget together, and I just kept saying to Dre, we have to make this. You have to cut that budget. You have to cut that budget. You have to cut that budget. And she was like, I cannot cut this budget anymore. So we did this on a shoestring budget, but we also did it on a shoestring budget because I wanted to make sure that those players got paid. And that was a big requirement for me from the beginning, is we're advocating for these women who are fighting for equal rights and equal pay. We have to pay them money. And we did. And I stand by that fact, and I'm proud of it. And I think it was the right thing to do.